So for this lesson, we're going to look at comments and how to comment out codes. And so as you begin to write more complicated code, you will have to spend more time thinking about how to code solutions to the problems you want to solve. Once you come up with the idea, you will spend a fair amount of time troubleshooting that code and revising your overall approach. Comments allow you to write in plain English within your program. In Python, any line that starts with a pound symbol, the number sign, is ignored by the Python interpreter. You can see here are two examples. We've already been working with this one right here using the triple quotes around a multi-line comment. This allows you to write at more than one line, and if you have to, you can effectively turn off an entire group of code, a section of code, and then if that's where your errors are, that should make your errors go away. And then you figure out where the error is and finish it that way. Or if you want to give yourself or other programmers some instruction or explanation about that part of the code, you can do a multi-line comment and write until the very end and then have triple quotes at the end of it, and it will let that paragraph or a couple of sentences or just a couple of lines give information about your program. This is the other way of commenting. This is a single line comment. And yes, you could do a pound sign and then a comment, and the next line have a pound sign and a comment, and so on. But this is very good for adding right before a new section or giving your code a little bit more meaning as to what the next part is running, what the next line of code is running, or the next loop is running, or whatever you're working with. So I have been writing comments in all the example boxes of our lessons, and you can see up here, these are the color schemes that I've been working with. Code is green and the comments are red. Going to the red part, the comment area, is going to explain what will happen next in the example or on the next line, and it's very helpful to break up a program and explain those processes. Comments need to be short and to the point, but a complete thought. Most comments could be written in complete sentences. It helps explain thinking, so when you return to the code later, you'll understand how you are approaching the problem. It explains your thinking so that others who work with the code will understand your overall approach, and it also explains particularly difficult sections of code in detail. And in many programs that I've written, I have commented a lot inside there as I was building the code, building the app, building the program, whatever it was. And then when I'm looking back through, if I have to take a break, if I'm working on it for a couple of weeks and I need to take a break on it, I comment, make sure that I have my comments are very well described. They have a very good explanation of what's going on in the code and what I expected to see in the code. Sometimes I put down where the errors are. Like, this is a problem, not sure how to fix it. And then when I come back to the code in a week or a month or a year, I can look at it at that point and say, oh, okay, this is what I was doing. It catches me back up to speed on the program. When should you write them? When you like to think about the code before you're writing it. We're going to do some pseudocode during our projects and the later lessons and units. The pseudocode is another way of letting us explain what's going to happen in the program. But inside of a comment, if you want to explain or think about the code before writing it, you can kind of come up with that pseudocode right in the code and comment it out, and then you have that there to explain what's going on. And then also, this is my example, and you're likely later to forget later exactly how you're approaching the problem or what you're trying to do. It lets you remember why you were doing that. And sometimes coding can be a little confusing if you step away from it for a while and you try and figure out what you were thinking about. But if you can remind yourself through a comment, it'll kind of jog your memory a little bit. And sometimes there's more than one way to solve a problem. Actually, in coding, there's usually multiple ways to solve a problem. And so you can explain different directions that way. And the last suggestion of when you should write comments is when others are unlikely to anticipate your way of thinking about a problem. So if your problem-solving skills bring you a different direction than what is normal, understanding people that are reading it, having the ability to understand that code makes it a lot easier for everybody. So you want to write good comments. That's a clear sign of a good programmer. If you have a real interest in taking programming seriously, we're going to start using comments now. That way, I will understand your thought processes as you're developing these code blocks and these small programs. I'll understand what you're thinking, and then inside the program, as we're going through the program, I can read those and say, oh, okay, here's what's going on this part, and I can understand that a little bit better. So your practice section for this time, we're going to create a file, just like we have in the last three, that's going to be your last name, and then Python 1.4 comments. And in this case, we're going to be using comments in our program. So we're going to create a new Python file, and at the top you're going to use a multi-line comment to add the following information. You're going to have your name, the date, and the program name. So in this case, I would say Mr. Miller. Let me pull that up here. I would say here's my multi-line comment, and my multi-line comment, I'm going to have my name, Mr. Miller, the date, which is 28/2020, and the program name is Python 1.4 comments. And then at the end of that, I'm going to triple quote it. That way, this is going to be at the top of the program, so when I open it up and I read it, I can see exactly what I'm doing here. And this is the series that we're going to follow, or the stuff we're going to follow for each of the weeks from here on. Step number 2, you're going to create variables to hold the following information about you. You're going to create a first name, last name, and all those. So when you do this part, I'm going to say first name equals Mr. And before that, I'm going to use right here, the single step, step number 4. We're going to use single comments to explain each and every variable in the sentence. So up here, I'm going to do a comment. This is the first name variable. And first name Mr., last name Miller, and I could do this is the last name variable. And you want to have an extra space before the comment because it helps separate that program and make it a little bit easier to read. And then step number 3, I know I'm going a little bit out of the order of the program here, but I'm going to make a sentence or a paragraph using concatenation, and I'll say print my first name is plus first name plus, oops, what did I forget there? That's right, I forgot the quotation mark. And you also want to make sure that you leave a space here after the last letter before the quotation mark. That way when it prints this out, it actually does the space and then my first name, and then on the other side I can do quotation marks and a space, and my last name is space, there's that, plus last name, and there's a short version of this paragraph. So when I hit, I'd probably do plus period, save it. When I run this one, my first name is Mr., my last name is Miller. So I have that all in there. It should look like a normal paragraph. Anybody reading this by itself, other than being in a Python shell, they would not understand that there are variables holding on to these two parts of the code. But so we're going to use these directions to create a paragraph that does these variables, and you can see that there are some of them that I have them here. Create a parenthesis, and you're going to come up with 4 of your favorite things. So I have my favorite color, and so you're going to do a couple of different ones. Your first, second, and third hour, fourth hour, fifth hour, sixth hour. So you have each one of your classes, and you can see my example for that would be first underscore hour for first hour, second underscore hour, FAV for favorite color, favorite food, favorite number, favorite month, whatever. And then at the end, it's going to say, thank you for reading my paragraph. So you should be filling out each one of these. My favorite color is my favorite color. My favorite number is my favorite number, using the variables. So hopefully this is easily understood, and this is the practice for comments. You want to make sure that you're using a single line comment above each of the variables, and then your paragraph is going to print off. It should be quite long. And you'll see right here that it jumps over off the edge there. You can see if I can find it really quick. I cannot. Nope, I don't see it right there. Anyway, you'll have a very, very, very long sentence here when you're working on that part. So, yep, that's the assignment for 1.4. If you have any questions, please let me know.